Fiona Simpson, member from Maroochydore. It's great to have the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia here on the Sunshine Coast. He's not a unfamiliar figure here on the coast, and he loves to come for a surf here, but we're delighted to have him here and talking about infrastructure and small business and the needs of the Sunshine Coast that we're fighting to ensure gets a fair go. And we're delighted that the feds have put the money on the table, and we want to see it spent here on the Sunshine Coast. I have also with us the state candidate for Nicklin, Marty Hunt. We also have Ted O'Brien and Andrew Wallace, our federal members. As a state LNP team, we're delighted to be working closely with our federal colleagues, because that's how we're going to ensure that the infrastructure we need on the Sunshine Coast is built. The state and federal government working together, working to ensure this area is put first. And I'll throw to our Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Fiona. I just remembered when you said that, I've still got my honorary membership of the Marcoola Surf Club, where I pulled someone out of the drink early one morning. He looked like he was on his way to New Zealand, and he was till I got him. But it's great to be back here on the Sunshine Coast. This is all about the hub of that entrepreneurial flair, which is small business, that wish of the Australian people, which is so well epitomised in the Sunshine Coast, to start at the bottom and sort of transcend through the social and economic stratification of life by the sweat of their own brow to the highest level, limited only by their innate ability. And I'll tell you who those people are. It's the hairdresser who starts her shop, and she's so enthusiastic, and she's got the client base, and she wants to get another chair, and she wants to bring on apprentices, and she wants to grow her business. Well, we've got to stand beside her and stand behind her and help her along. It's the chippy or the plumber or the sparky who starts their trade with the conduit over the tray back, with all their gear, buying all their tools. They finish their apprenticeship and they want to start their business. Well, that's the Sunshine Coast. It's the person who's the computer programmer who starts and he wants to be online and working with other businesses and get his business ahead and assist other areas and to subcontract into other bigger businesses. Well, that's the Sunshine Coast. And we've got to support the Sunshine Coast in the way that we are doing, with $1.6 billion being spent on the Bruce Highway, part of a $6.7 billion package. By making Queensland even stronger with such things as the Inland Rail, a corridor of commerce from Melbourne up to Brisbane through the inland, helping out other Queensland towns such as Gundawindi and Toowoomba. Or making sure that we use we fight to get some of that $10 billion we put on the table to get the duplicate, to assist with such things as the duplication of the railway line from Beerburrum down to, what's the place we're going to? Nambour. Beerburrum to Nambour. Now, these are the things that these guys are fighting for. This is what Andrew's fighting for. This is what Ted's fighting for. Making sure that the sunny coast is a stronger place, a better place to live. But we've got some frustrations up here, and I'll tell you what one of them is. One of them is that we've got to fight for better, we've got to make sure that we keep the energy prices under control. So those people at Sippy Downs can have a power bill that's affordable, reliable, something that doesn't send them broke. Which means that we have to be brave enough to say this word. And I'll say it to you, Jackie Trad, and I'll say it to you, Anastasia Palaszczuk, coal-fired power. We've got to actually believe in that, because that's the base load that gets the power onto the grid, especially in Queensland, where we need to try and keep that dignity in people's lives by affordable and reliable power. And I'll say another thing to Jackie Trad and Anastasia Palaszczuk, Rookwood Weir. Why are you so scared of building anything away from Brisbane? The only thing they ever talk about, Cross River Rail. Well, that's not much use to people on the sunny coast, not much use to people in Rockhampton. We've got to make sure that in this state we start building the infrastructure that is not just around the centre of Brisbane, but we start looking at how we build it so that we make the whole of the state of Queensland stronger. And I'm proud to be part of a government that did such things as put the optic fibre into Birdsville. That was a big call. We started sealing the third road across our nation from Winton to Laverton. We put money on the table for that. We actually were part of government in the past that built the dams. Wivenhoe, at the start they said it was too small, now at the start they said it was too big, now they say it's too small. Now that's the part of the government, that is the alternative for Queenslanders to consider. So we've had the Anastasia Palaszczuk, Jackie Trad fight has been very entertaining. It has occupied the soap pages, it's been great to watch, but I don't want it to govern anymore. I think that's got to stop. And we've got to get effective government so we can start doing the things that are good for the Sunshine Coast, start doing things that are good for Central Queensland, start making this whole state stronger, and start not being run by basically the west end of Brisbane, where currently government is being run from at the moment.
In relation to energy prices from a federal level, Gas is still very expensive. Is it time to pull the trigger on export restrictions?
Well, I'm happy with the legislation that we have and what it is already doing. You got to remember there's about 48 petajoules, that's a big heap of gas in layman's terms, that we're bringing onto the market because they concede that we have this legislation. No matter when the trigger is pulled, it doesn't start till the 1st of January. And I'll give you a little tip in business. If people are moving and doing things without pulling the trigger and are getting more gas onto the market, don't stop them. Let them keep putting gas onto the market, and that's exactly what is happening now. And because that gas is coming onto the market, the price is going down, which is precisely what it was designed to do. Now, we have other reports that are coming in and in the proper consideration, and when we think that we have all the facts before us and we've seen what other gas that the people such as Santos have actually put onto the market, then we can make a more deliberate decision. But if we pull the trigger early, then people can just stop and they say, well, now we know exactly where it is, so we're not giving you any more.
Mr. Joyce, the plans for the inland rail that were revealed last night show that it's going straight through the Condamine floodplain, and it's also going through 20 k's of prime agricultural land. Farmers are saying that that could put lives at risk because of the floodplain. What's your response?
Well, the first thing I'd say is we've got to, the Labor Party is not going to build the inland rail. This is not going to happen. And what that means is for farmers, and that means that our transport of moving grain, moving cotton, moving cattle becomes dearer. What it means for other people is that the trucks are going to stay on the road. Now, we'll still have trucks, but they'll be doing short haulage, but to get long haulage, to try and alleviate some of that pressure, we need to build the inland rail. It should have been built years ago. What I can also say is the Labor Party will not build the inland rail because they just have no vision for regional Australia. Now, with the issues with the Condamine floodplain, I understand that. And now there has to be a very considered process on the design of how this works to try and alleviate any of the problems that people are rightly bringing forward, and we'll be looking at that. But this, let's get everything built where there already is a corridor, and we can go all the way up to basically Yalarbin on an existing corridor, and let's get that one built, and then we can consider the engineering requirements to try and alleviate the problems that have been brought to our attention.
This route was one of 4 that were considered. Do you think, are you saying that maybe one of the other 4 should be considered instead of this one?
I think in the end, in the end you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a call. The minister's made a call, and that's how it works. You can't just always be considering it. He's made the call. That's what people want, even if they don't agree with it. At least the decision's been made. Now we can make the other decisions of how we alleviate the problems with the proper design of how we cross the Condamine floodplain. But I tell you what's so important. I mean, I've got people around my area saying, "Oh, the rail will go through my property." Yeah, it will. It will. And what can we do about that? Not much. You know what? But we have to make this nation a stronger place. And this is going to do it. This is going to allow us to basically build up the towns of Gundawindi, of Toowoomba, so you can get more product into the new airport at Toowoomba. Help Brisbane, right down to Moree, Narrabri, Parkes, Dubbo, Seymour, Wodonga. We've always had a vision for trying to make the inland of our nation stronger. And now we're doing it. And we're going to drive this forward because the Labor Party has no vision away from Balmain, no vision away from West End. The Labor Party has given up on labourers, and we're going to make sure that we pick up the slack and start helping them out.
Regardless of that, though, if farmers know their land, if they're saying that it's going to put lives at risk having water going over this floodplain, isn't that something that the minister should be considering? Well,
that has to be part of the engineering design. But no matter where you go with the railway line, you're going to find there are people who have a disagreement with it. And that's just the way it is. But that's not dismissing their concerns. Now we have to work with them to try and get the engineering fix to deal with it.
Just two more questions. Can I grab your thoughts on the AFL joining the same-sex marriage debate?
Look, people know my views. I always said I'm not a saint, but I voted no, right? And other people have their views. What do you got to be considerate of? What do I have to be considerate of? There are a lot of people who don't have my views. They don't. And so I can't go around saying, well, I voted no, so you must, in everything you do, also support my position. Because it's their right to say, no, Barney, I don't agree with you. You know, I'm a yes person. I said, well, and that's where the relationship on that issue and the grief should stop. So I am a bit apprehensive when people start saying, you know, our corporate position is this. Because what you're doing is you're making people within that organisation feel that they're under the pump because if they don't have the same views as you, and that can work in both ways. So what your own view is your own view, and you should tell people, especially if you're in politics, But you shouldn't be getting in a position where you say, now I'm going to make it, imagine if the ABC, the CEO of the ABC said, well, our position's no. There'd be a few people in the ABC that say, well, mate, you can't say that on my behalf because my position's different. And so I think the whole reason we're giving everybody a vote is they've all got the equal right now. They can all make up their mind. The votes will go out, the votes will come back in, we'll count them, and then we'll make a decision as to how we go forward from there. So to be frank, I voted no. That's my own personal decision. Does that mean the pastor of the local church? Absolutely not. Everyone knows that. What does that also mean? It means that you've got just as much right as me. You'll make up your own mind. And why are we doing this? To get this thing off the agenda and move on.
There's the Adani protesters out on the beach.
Yeah, I've seen them. Well, they didn't recognise me when I walked down, in footy shorts and bare feet this morning when I went for a walk on the beach. But that's their right. It's a democracy. They've got every right to protest. Good luck to them, mate. That's the wonderful place we live. A wonderful place we live in, mate. They've got their views. Other people got different views. Yeah, aren't we lucky to live in Australia?
But in relation to you're mentioning the importance of a coal-fired power station. They're trying to block another coal mine getting.
Yeah, that's. Look, there are 350 coal-fired power stations being built around the world or refurbished around the world as we speak. It's going to be we've got to be realists. We've got to keep the lights on. I know how this debate will work, ladies and gentlemen. It'll work like this. Around about January, end of January, Mum and Dad are going to come back from being up the beach with the kids. Mum will turn on the air conditioner and she'll get ready to go back to her work, and Dad will get ready to go back to his work. And the schools will fire up and businesses will start and all turn on their air conditioners and the traffic will build up. And if we don't get this equation right, the power goes off. You trip and the power goes off. And that means that the lifts stop, and if you're in the lift, you're going to be stuck there for a while. That means the operations at the hospital stop. That means the traffic goes into total gridlock. This will be absolute chaos. If you want to know what it looks like, South Australia gave it a crack last year. And now, since then, they've closed down. The Labor Party went and closed down Hazelwood in Victoria, so they made the situation worse. Now, I'm going to be the pragmatist. We've got to keep our baseload power requirements working, and a big baseload power deliverer in this nation is called coal, and we're going to keep doing it. And I'm sad if that hurts other people's feelings. I can't help that, but we're going to be a pragmatist, because if we lose, if the lights go out, it will be devastating, not just for the people who live in the big cities that get stuck in the traffic and stuck in the tunnels without the exhaust fans going and stuck in very hot houses because the air conditioners don't work and feeling insecure because the whole place is black. It's also going to be terrible for the renewable power industry, because all of a sudden people are going to say, oh, the whole thing's fallen to pieces, and we don't want that either.
Mr. Joyce, talking about baseload, what pumped hydro, how do you think that could work in terms of adding to that baseload?
Well, there's been a big report out today that said you can get vast amounts of it onto the system, but we've got a three-phase plan, like three-phase power. We've got a three-phase plan, and this is how it works. In the short term, we make sure the retailers are more transparent and have a greater transferability of their power requirements, so that the consumer can say, I want to go from this company to that company. We're doing that. In the medium term, keep coal-fired power going. And we've all heard the discussions about Liddell. If you don't want your power station, sell it to somebody who does. But keep it going, because we need to keep that baseload power going. In the long term, Snowy Hydro 2, which Malcolm Turnbull, you hear him talking about it all the time, very good. And there's a whole heap of other pump hydro schemes that we could get going as well. So we have a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term solution to this very, very big problem. I'll tell you what the Labor Party's solution is. Don't say the word coal-fired power, because somehow they've got a religious problem with it. Make sure you don't lose any votes in the West End or Balmain, and somehow pretend that it's all just going to get better. That's the Labor Party policy. Oh, and while you're at it, say that Captain Cook and Governor Lachlan Macquarie were bad buggers and their statues should be torn down.
Thanks, guys. We've got to give the word now. Cheers.
Okay. Go, thank you.